Hello my friends and welcome to this playthrough for Masters Division in the New York Classic Tournament. This video is sponsored by Playdemic and Golf Clash, and we're going to go through hole 1 to hole number 9 here, and we're going to focusing a lot on the explaining part because these holes are very tough and there are so many technical aspects on every single hole that we're going to focus on. First, I want to make it very clear that I'm using another person's account, which means that I'm not going to qualify. I'm going to forfeit basically every hole if I'm not getting anything to drop before. So that is something that we'll have to say already from the beginning. We're going to start with hole number 1 here, and we're going to go with a sniper, changing the approach a little bit from how we have been having it, you know, in when we practicing on stream earlier. And the reason we're going to change it, you know, in the way is because I do believe we will get a more consistent way to try to go for the hole-in-one. And the hole-in-one way is going to be very tough to achieve here on this hole number 1. And sure, you can just pull a guardian, make it a good amount of backspin directly onto green, and you will have a safe birdie. But it's always when it comes to the par 3 to at least find a way to kind of be close enough to get the hole-in-one. The thing that we need to have in mind here is, like, I do want to play with a bandera ball or some ball with less distance combined with wind resistance. Now we're going to be within clubs, and it's going to be a little bit harder with adjustment, but the adjustment, even if we are in the minimum range with a sniper, we're going to adjust for it as we would be in max distance. So 100% adjustment, so 10.1 in wind, we're going to adjust for 10 rings. So, and the problem here we got is that I kind of want to adjust a little bit further down the fairway, and you will be able to see here that I'm kind of adjusting for 11 and a half rings instead of 10 rings, which means that this ball will go too much to the left and it will therefore be pushed too much to the right. We will still have no problem to putt it in for a birdie, but you could see there how the slight over adjusted part still managed for us to be a very inconsistent bounce. We need to bounce where it's basically flat to be consistent enough to go to the pin, and that's why, like, being in between clubs is a little bit tougher in the way than having another ball that gives us a little bit less distance and more wind resistance. We're going to forfeit the hole, and we're going to go to hole number 2. So you will basically be seeing me forfeiting the putts, basically, to take a bogey to go through to hole number 2. So soon enough, going to forfeit here, and then hole number 2. Hole number 2 is going to be very tough, and I thought long and hard before using hole number 2 that I was playing here, if I'm going to use it or not. But I think it's important to, when we see 50 to 70% of the people that are playing to make a par on hole number 2, then it's important to show why and how you actually can be finding yourself in an easy way to struggle. The notes for this one before we're going in here was that I'm going to go with a good amount of adjusting when it comes to my Apocalypse level 6. Not mine, but the Apocalypse level 6 combined with max topspin with the Apocalypse as well. Using max side spin that we do have on our dead ball, and then go with one ball of curl to the left. That was the plan going into the hole, but it's always important to have in mind, like, that this is a hole we're going to have crosswind left to right. We're going to push out to the right, and the fairway pushes us out to the right as well. So it's very important that we are not getting a miss to the right side or something like that. Our opponent's going to go with max topspin with his Apocalypse level 7. I would say that I would consider that to be a little bit too much. I think it's good that he's actually under adjusting it a little bit with the topspin there, because too much topspin as well could actually destroy even more for you. But almost like max topspin with Apocalypse level 7. Adjusting out, they're going to go with some curl here, as you can see. And then it's very important for the opponent here to not drop it right, but he drops it a lot right, which will put him into the rough there on the right side. And that is the most, I would say, like, the easiest way to miss is to miss right sided, to go into that rough or into that bunker. So you kind of either need to play yourself up short before that bunker or rough, or you need to play yourself in the amount of side spin combined with curl, so you actually can bounce it past the rough on the left side of that bunker. It's going to be very tough, and that is the thing that we're going to try to do here. 12.3 in wind, crosswind. As you can see, we're using a dead ball. We're using max topspin combined with max side spin to the left. We're gonna go with 8 rings. We're going to go with slight overpower, not much. And we, as you can see here, we're going with not even one ball of curl. It's too little, and you will be able to see that with the result that comes here. It's going to bounce itself into, as you can see, like, we're having a decent amount of speed there. It's coming in a little bit too much to the right. We need to use more curl, and I would say like 1.5 ball of curl would most likely be the key on that hole, and that is what I'm going to go for when I do play my account on stream. So 1.5 ball of curl, basically the same type of setup otherwise. Our opponent is going to go there, rolling out there on the fairway. It's going to be a very tough shot that from that distance. Going to be a long way to the pin. The thing that we want to do now is that we do want to use max topspin on our club. And then we need to max overpower as well, because the Spitfire will of course go high up in the air. High up! And we want to go as close to the rough on top as possible. And here you can see, like, this is a typical way to actually have the whole 2 hole played, actually, because many players are missing left, right and center. But in the way, if you can get yourself up there to the top as close as possible, it's going to be a good opportunity for you to actually drop that one in for a birdie from a little bit of a distance. Going to go with the Thorn here, max backspin. I think that is a good way to actually, at least a good thought about how to make that shot. I'm of course in no short iron range. I'm going to go in end ring here. It's like important to know here is that this shot, even though it's uphill, it's affected way more by the wind than we actually account for according to the guide. So that is important to have in mind. So our turn here now. Going to go with Endbringer. You're going to use 1 bar of backspin. Not going with any side spin, not going either left or right, doesn't really matter here. So we're going to go just straight. And we're going to adjust this one for 12 rings. From this position. And I think it's very important to actually have some notes for this type of shot, because if we are unlucky enough, we can put ourselves in this type of situation when we do play in either opening round or weekend round. We're getting close! So 11.5 ring it is with that type of wind. So we're going to get a par here. Or bogey, as you can see, but it was important for me to show here on hole number 2 a setup that was just almost good, and the setup is going to be tweaked a little bit, of course, that we're going to apply a little bit more curl when it comes to playing hole number 2 in the regular round. So hole number 3 here now. Hole number 3. This is a hole where I would say, like, I did hope for some tailwind when I looked at this course before the tournament started. We had tailwind on this one the first time it was played in the Christmas tournament approximately 6 months ago. But as it is now we just have to play it up. So our opponent's going to, of course, do the same as we are going to do. Play him or herself up there, having no problem there for the layup for the second shot as well. We're gonna go with 4 bars off top and max side. Then we're going to adjust this one very properly because we don't want to drop this shot to the left. We're going to adjust for 8 rings. And then we're going to slightly curl against the wind as well, to kind of counter for if we do hit the ball great on the right side. So if we are not going to counter with some curl, then we need to adjust it for at least like 10 rings, in my opinion. So now it's layup time. Not going to do anything special. We're going to work with Goliath in minimum distance. That is the play that we are looking for. Our opponent here is going with too much topspin. It's not necessary to go with the topspin combined with the overpower that he has. So putting himself into the bunker, sure, you can drop it from the bunker, but in the end it's all about to find yourself in a situation where you really can give yourself that way to reach for the green in not reach, but at least maybe make it to drop at the third shot. Like, we're going to slightly overpower this one and not going to do anything special. Slightly overpower, slightly curl against the wind, combined with max side spin to the left and 1 bar top spin. Then we lay ourselves up there, and we're going to have a Goliath in minimum distance. And the Goliath in minimum distance when it's a level 8 is 3 miles per hour per ring, instead of 2 miles per hour per ring as it is in max distance. Vi kan inte röra datorn nu, Amelia. So, as you can see, a bunker shot, very, very tough to drop this one with that crosswind. Hits it good though. Going to come in a little bit too much to the left, but still going to be no problem to make a birdie from that position. And this hole number 3 is going to be, of course, a par shot, like a birdie hole, instead of a eagle hole. Now you can see we have a Goliath. Max back, max side spin to the left. And as you can see, if we would be having a little bit more distance with the Goliath, we would be going straight at the pin. But now we're going to use the hill. And we're going to use the end of the ball guideline to just get straight up there for the pin. And this is uphill combined with the minimum distance. So we're going to go for 4 rings. That is 12 miles per hour. That we are adjusting for, and We kind of need to reduce that just a little bit. But we also need to counter for the bounce that we do get from the crosswind that will push us a little bit more to the right, as we do have crosswind left to right. So we take the bogey again, and then it's time to play hole number 4. And I'm starting to like hole number 4. I like that one in every division, to be honest, you know. I'm going to go with the sniper. It's sniper time. Hole number 4, par 3. We're going to play this one with sniper. Importance to have in mind here when it comes to hole 4 is that we're going to play this one as we are in max distance. So we're going to go with 5 bars of side spin combined with just a little bit of top spin. I'm going to take away the top spin and play it the next time. You can see the ball guide line is aimed way out to the left side. And that is just a counter for the bounce that we're going to get. So 9.8, and we're going to adjust for 9.5 rings approximately. And then we're going to use some curl against the wind. We're going to go with basically just the ball just outside the ring there to the left. We're going to get a good bounce, and the side spin will push our ball back in. And we're getting very, very close to making a hole-in-one. So I'm going to go with Melius. Hi. No top spin, you know. It's like you can see I had a little bit of top spin, and I want to take that away. As we came in very, very hot, and it's like, it would be so sad if we do hit the pin and bounce out just because we get there. So my opponent here is going to go with a Guardian, max distance with a good amount of backspin. I do believe this is not a good way to play, or like good and good, but I would say the risk you take is that you go very short and the ball drops down and you're going to have a hard putt for the pin. So we're going to forfeit the hole here now. But yeah, important having my sniper. Adjusting for it as max distance. 9.8 in wind, 9.5 rings. 5 bar side spin. And then no top or backspin. Hole number 5. Hole number 5 is going to be... it's played very hard in this tournament. Very, very hard.
Smelius. Vad gör du där ute?
So, hole number 5, and the drive is very, very important. We're going to go and lay ourselves up. Trying to lay ourselves up kind of short, that we are not having any trees in our way. So I'm going to change to a dead ball, and I'm going to go with this type of approach. It's like, sure, you can go with a bandera ball, you can go with a bunny ball, but still, like, you do want to have the distance here for the drive. 3 bars, side spin to the right, going to aim there on the right side of the fairway. We do have 1 bar of backspin as well. I'm going to adjust for 10 rings here, then we're going to go with some overpower. We're going to just go slightly overpower. But as you can see here now on the bounce, we do need to have more overpower. Just a little bit more, then we would be bouncing out there nicely onto the fairway. But, you know, I take it. I take that approach. Like, and now the thing that I was kind of afraid of was that we're going to have the tree there. We're going to have the tree there to the left, and the thing that I notice here afterwards, and that's why I'm going to time out my first shot, is because this is a very technical part and I had to think a lot, and I also want to get myself time to explain my thought process to the second shot. Our opponent's going to go full blast right side. A little bit riskier in my opinion, but worked absolutely perfect. And this is a really great layup, and this is how I kind of picture myself playing the hole when I took my first nose. As you can see here now, we can actually shoot over the tree, and that is something that is very interesting. And now we're going to find, and we're going to go for a position there in the rough with the Goliath, that we're going to have enough topspin combined with the side spin here. And this is the thing, like, as you can see here now, and that is the thing that I really want to show you. 11.3 in win, we want to adjust with 6 rings, but as you can see here now, we will go over to a sniper with minimum distance, and that will, in this case, make me to time out to just take this shot again. Again, we are not qualifying on this account, we're just lending it. Then we can time out and just take it again to just really think it through, look at it again, give ourselves the notes that we do want to. So our opponent's going to go with the thorn here. So this is a really good layup. I do believe like there are not many players that is going to be able to lay it up as our opponent did. But if we do get the chance, then we need to really give ourselves the opportunity to get that one to drop. Okay, we're going to take this approach a little bit faster now to just show it in a proper way. We're going to go with 5 bars of topspin. So we're going to go with 6 bars of topspin. We're going to go with max side spin to the left. I don't know why I wrote 5 bars, like. And then we're going, the reason we're taking a little bit more when it comes to the topspin here is that we want to use the top there of the fringe. Or at least giving ourselves that little bit extra distance so we're not in between clubs. Now we are adjusting for 6 rings. And 6 rings with the Goliath in max distance is 12 miles per hour, but we're playing over water, and also we do forget to counter for the push that we're going to get to our ball when hitting the rough there, as it comes from left to right. But still, we're giving ourselves a really decent opportunity from distance to make the ball drop. And that's the thing that we actually are looking for on hole number 5. A way to play the hole to get a safe birdie, but in the way to not to give ourselves not to take away the word not, but to give ourselves a good way to make eagle.
Yeah.
So now we're going to go to hole number 6. And hole number 6 is going to, of course, be a key hole. We do need to make an eagle on hole number 6. There we go. Our friend going to play with a dead ball. No, sorry, with a Titan. We are going to play with a royal ball. Give ourselves the distance from the tee. Our opponent hits that ball great, but still going to be ending up perfectly here on the fairway.
Amelia.
And here, of course, with the Titan, and I do believe it's important, like especially for hole number 6 and hole number 9, that you pick up and go with a Cataclysm or a Big Dog for your second shot, or a maxed out Guardian, so you do have the distance for it, especially if you do have to, if you do find yourself short. We're going to go with a slight amount of overpower, not much, and we're going to go in max topspin. Max topspin on our Apple. I'm going to adjust for 7 rings. And then we're going to go with slight amount of overpower, not much, because we don't want to overpower too much and go into the rough on top. So we're going to bounce them nicely. The side wind that we're having just give us a possible way to counter for the push we get to the right, and this shot worked out perfectly. We are on the right side, which we wanted to, and giving ourselves a really good way to go for the pin. And I would consider this shot that comes now, as actually a decent albatross opportunity. Sure, it's going to be tough though, but we are not going to be needed to overpower our shot. So that is so important to have in mind, actually. And the problem here for our opponent is that he is having just a sniper. I do feel like even if you're having a Cataclysm level 4, level 5, or a Big Dog, like with 180 yards of distance, use that one instead, you know. Give yourself that extra 8 yards that you absolutely need on this hole. The sniper, sure, it's going to be possible to bounce this one onto the green, but in the end, it's going to be very, very tricky in general to when playing with the sniper to get that distance that you want to. Like, you can't rely on yourself double bouncing over the bunker, you know. So our turn now. Our turn now, 9.8 in win. We're going to go with the max backspin that we do have on the Cataclysm, which is 5, and then 3 bars to the side with the light side spin. Lining ourselves up, we want to line ourselves up a little bit to the left of the pin. Looks like we're actually a little bit right to the pin. And we are adjusting it according to the guide, 1.8 mile per hour per ring with a Cataclysm level 5. We kind of need to adjust that one a little bit more to just counter for the push that we're going to get with the tailwind, combined with that we actually dropped it great, and then of course dropping it great, and we will be coming in on the right side of the pin. But still, we're going to bag an easy eagle, and that is what counts. So we're going forfeit now and go to hole number 7, and hole number 7 is going to be a killer, you know. It's I consider this, I remember when talking about it, it's like, oh, we're going to get hole number 7, we're going to get a good eagle opportunity, and oh, my friends, you will see how wrong I were. So wrong. Just checking the bracket there to see how it is.
Kan du sitta ordentligt nu? Jag vill inte att du ramlar ner.
So going to play against Jamie here, and he's going to play one approach that I tried out on the stream, but went into the rough directly. And the thing is, like, for this type of approach where you want to bounce over the rough there on the left, is needed for you to have as max 11 in wind. If we do have more in like headwind in our face, then we're not going to reach over. We're going to cut the rough already in the beginning, and then you're going to have no chance whatsoever to reach for the green in 2. So that's why I'm going to go on the right side, to give myself a little bit of an easier opportunity. So he got over there, but he did cut the rough, and you could just see how close he were the rough on the drive, just bouncing there by the side. So we're going to go with max topspin when it comes to our Cataclysm level Apocalypse level 6. Going to bounce it over there, and here we're going to over adjust this this one. We should approximately go with around 10 rings here, but we're going to adjust this one as it would be basically 14 miles per hour, 13.5, 14 miles per hour. And so we're going to go with 9 rings here, and then we're going to over adjust it. We're going to still go with some overpower. And you can see here we get a perfect bounce there over, and this fairway is uphill, so even if we're coming in a little bit hot, still going to stay close there to the rough and have some distance for it as well, and giving ourselves a good way to reach for the green in 2. So this second shot is of course easier for our opponent here in this particular situation, but it's like you will have to decide. It's like, is it worth it to try to go max overpower on left, risking going into the rough, or have a little bit of an easier approach on the right side, laying it up and then go for a rough bump to the pin? You can see here he makes this shot very good. It's going to be an easy birdie at least. So we're going to go for the rough bump. You can see here now directly, like I'm just checking here now with the topspin on our club. It's important here to find a good adjustment set, like a setup for us here. So we're going to decide to go with 5 bars of topspin, to just give ourselves that little bit of room there on the side with the headwind that we do have. Can go a little bit to the right instead, using a little bit of side spin. We're going to go with 7 rings here. Combined with that, we will use slight amount of overpower, not much. We're cutting the rough there nicely. We're going to come in very hot there. So it's either that we reduce just a little bit of topspin, so we're not coming in way too hot, but still we managed to get a good way there for the eagle. Going to go with a little bit of side spin to the left with that shot, so we are not just having to bounce over that much of the bunker. But still, in the way, we adjusted for 7 rings with the Cataclysm, used a little bit of overpower as well. So it went kind of quick, so that's why I repeat myself there. Hole number 8, I'm going to go with the Guardian. And Guardian is perfect for me in the way that if we are having wind that will be under 8 miles per hour with a Bandera ball, like a wind resistant 5 ball, then I'm going to go directly onto the green. But if it's not, then I'm going to adjust it for 7.5 rings, bouncing on the island, because 7.5 rings is 11 miles per hour, like somewhere between 10.8 and 11.5. Then you adjust for 7.5 rings going onto the island there on the left. Our opponent here is going to do something that I would never consider, in the way that he's having 11 in tailwind. This is going to come in very hot, or like yeah, very hot, and it's going to be getting a push here now. That is going to be very hard to counter for, and even with max backspin combined with that great shot getting up there on the hill, is still going to bounce over into the rough. So either you need to be very spot on to get it to the fringe and bounce from there, or you need to play it in a different way. We're going to change to a kingmaker. I'm going to go with 6.5 bars of backspin. And then slight amount of side spin to the left, but still we want it to be pushed up to the right to roll down there. So now you can see we're going to adjust this 11.2, 7.5 rings. Seven and a half rings, and then we're going to hit the island nicely. We're going to hit this shot great, unfortunately. But still, as you can see here on the bounce, we're going to get a little bit too much to the right, and we would be hitting it perfect there on the island otherwise. Coming in there, coming in a little bit too less there, I do believe that is because of the great, or we need to remove half a bar of backspin as well on that shot. But still, an easy way for us to get the eagle there on hole number 8. So again, it's like I'm going to go for that approach if we're not having a decent like win. Like I would like to see like 7.5 tops with a bandera ball or like a bubble ball or a Santa ball at least, like so to go directly onto the green. Then we should be able to make it up there. We'll be coming in hot to the pin, but still it's going to be a secured birdie. Going into the rough like that, it's going to be a very, very short one for the pin, and you can basically miss that one. You can hit it great, you can hit it not good, but great at least. Then you're still going to make that one. So we're going to go to hole number 9 here, and here is the drive that is going to be very, very tough. No, the ball. Let's go for hole number 9. So our opponent here is going to go with a dead ball. We're going to go with a dead ball as well. We're going to not go with max topspin on our Apocalypse level 6. We're going to go with a slight less. So our opponent is going with a decent amount of overpower. And I believe that is necessary. You shouldn't be using that much curl, even though it's going to be a lot to the right that you will need to go. You can't go with more curl than that, then you put yourself into rough. Getting over there, nice shot from our opponent, will lay up there perfectly. Our turn, we are going to go with dead ball, a royal ball. And we're going to go with 5 bars of top spin combined with max side spin to the right. I'm going to aim there on the side, and as you will see 10.9. So we're going to adjust for 5 rings there, and then we do have 10 rings there, so we're going to go with 10 rings. So we're going to go with slight amount of overpower, not that much as our opponent. We did hit it great on the side, just a little bit of curl to the right. So we're laying ourselves up there nicely, nicely for a shot to the pin there. So you can see here we're still going to be in a really good opportunity here for us. I do go with the Cataclysm instead of the Guardian here. It's like the reason is that I want to really counter for that. If I do for some reason go very, very short, you just bounce it out from the rough and go very, very short, then I do want to have some topspin on my wood club to be able to kind of maybe cut the corner a little bit or something like that. And with the topspin of the Guardian, that is not possible to do. So, but now that is not something that we have to think about. Our opponent is adjusting this one as it would be a Guardian in max distance. And when it's uphill, combined with not in max distance, then this shot is going to go very short. So, unfortunately, it gets into the rough there. It's going to be a rough iron shot for the pin for the eagle. Still a good opportunity, but like have in mind, like here, you will be able to see on my shot as well that we kind of also over adjusted, like, and it's very easy to over adjust it when you come in that situation. Like 1.8 mile per hour wind when it comes to the Cataclysm level 5, and we are going to go. We're going to go first with 5 rings, then we're going to go and adding a little bit extra. I'm going to add 1.5 ring more, so 6.5 rings, and that is going to be a little bit too much. I would say 6 rings will be the number here for this particular shot. As you can see, we're bouncing there, we're not even getting over to the fairway because we're coming in short on the left side. 6 rings will be my shot with the Cataclysm here, if I'm having the Cataclysm level 5. So we need to have that in mind, medium distance instead of going with max distance while adjusting. And of course that will slightly change depending on the club that you do have as well, but medium distance will be the type of adjustment that you want to choose. So, but we bagged the eagle at least. We shouldn't be missing that one. I'm going to ship this one in actually to end up with an eagle. Always nice, even though we are not qualifying here, and that was important too. That's why we forfeited basically all the holes to not qualify here at least. Unfortunately, hitting that one great, going a little bit short and also on the right side. So we're going to ship it in. We take the eagle, like well played, I would say, on hole number 9. It was only hole number 2 basically that we went a little bit off with our drive, but that was just so slightly. And the thing is that I'm going to go and make myself hopefully a consistent -11. And if I make a -11, I'm going to be very pleased, because we will see scores somewhere in between -20 to -24 in the top of Masters. This is by far the hardest Masters Division tournament that has been played since Masters got introduced last year. So I'm very pleased with the wind, so big props to the design team on Playdemic there. So my friends, thanks a lot for watching this playthrough for the Masters Division. This video is sponsored by Playdemic and Golf Clash, and if you do have any questions, please pick up in the comment section below and I will be happy to answer you there. In the end here, I would like to wish you the best of luck in the New York Classic tournament.